Welcome back to Real Roots Radio. My name is Peyton Burdett. I'm so excited to be chatting with Mike of Grain Thief. How you doing, Mike?
Hey Peyton, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to chat about your new album. It just came out. House of the Dog came out about 10 days ago or so. Real quick before we get started, go ahead and give our listeners a rundown of who your band is, who all's in it, where you guys are from, and what genre you consider yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So the band is called Grain Thief. We're based around Boston, Massachusetts. We formed there in 2015, and we kind of call that home, even though we're all spread around the area at this point in time. And we've had pretty much this, we've never had a lineup change. So I'm Mike Harmon. I'm the bass player. We have Patrick Mulroy on guitar, and he's the primary songwriter. We have Zach Meyer on the mandolin. We have Alex Barstow on the fiddle and Tom Farrell on the resonator guitar. We fall under the bluegrass tree, if you will, but we kind of do a little bit of songwriter-driven music. We play some old-time music, and it's always a little bit difficult for us to categorize ourselves as a traditional bluegrass band, but generally speaking, people have said it's kind of like a progressive bluegrass sound.
Obviously, Boston not necessarily known for its bluegrass scene. How have you guys been able to find and build a community there over the past decade or so?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because it's as you said, it's not really known for the style. This music is stems from more southern Appalachia originally, and I think it's Boston's kind of an interesting scene because there's several music schools and then a lot of other universities there. So you find yourself with a lot of young people coming into the city, bringing, their home cultures, and the music is certainly a big part of that as well. So surprisingly enough, there are a lot of bluegrass musicians and bluegrass adjacent musicians in the area. There's jams several times a week. There's also a lot of Irish music in the area. There's a lot of jazz. So you kind of get this like melting pot of a few different styles. Um, yeah, so it's not really like there's not a ton of history of bluegrass in the Boston area, but I would say for with that said, there's a pretty good scene where there's a good amount of bands and players and opportunities to perform the music as well.
I think the more you get into bluegrass, the more you realize that there's communities of it all across the country. I mean, there's great bands out in Colorado and California that we talk about all the time. So it's cool that, it started in kind of like you said in Appalachia, but it's expanded really to all across the country and in parts of the world too.
Totally, yeah. I mean, there are bluegrass fans like everywhere. I actually played bluegrass in Bangkok, Thailand, and Tokyo, Japan this year. So
What was
uh,
that like?
I was awesome. It was actually despite like obvious language barriers and stuff.
Hmm.
They're calling out the tunes and they're stuff that you play at campsites with other folks all the time. So it's pretty cool to see the reach of the music in that way, even in places that have no historical significance for the music. Originally speaking, now they're kind of budding scenes as well.
Hmm. Did they have any like favorite artists that you noticed out there? Like were they calling for Flatt and Scruggs or Larry Sparks or any of those type of people?
I think they've got their ear to the ground on what's going on in the current bluegrass
Oh,
world.
cool.
Um, but yeah, all the classic repertoire was kind of the stuff that they're pulling from.
You guys have been doing a residency as well up in Boston. How I guess how crucial has that been in terms of like helping you guys continue to form your sound and stay cohesive?
What's funny is I actually would say it's been a huge part of the makeup of our band. Whether we like intended for that or not. We've been playing at a place called the Burren in Somerville, which is, one of the neighborhoods of Boston area. And we've been playing our residency every Wednesday night since 2017. So we're in eight
Wow.
years now,
Hmm.
which is a pretty significant amount of time. The only pause was like 2020 during COVID. And, that has really helped us learn to play together a lot more. When we were starting out, we were a little bit more of like a hodgepodge together sound. Whereas, doing this week after week after week, not only does your repertoire grow and things like that, but you really learn each other as musicians more deeply and learn like the group dynamic better.
Hmm.
Um, it's not so much of a performance on stage as it is like kind of more Irish pub style where the music is more the ambiance for the place. So it's kind of an opportunity for us to try out some new things if we want to learn some new songs or if we've got a string of gigs coming up that's all going to be original music focused, we'll kind of use it as extra rehearsals
Yeah.
in front of people, which is always like a really helpful piece as well. But I would say like as far as the development of our band goes, it's been a huge growth tool for us during that time, just because it just gives so much opportunity to practice together.
Your first EP came out back in 2015. When you kind of look back on that project to this recent record, House of the Dog, um, where do you kind of see that progress?
It's interesting. I mean, we've definitely rooted ourselves a little bit more deeply in the traditional music. Like basically, we when we started as a band, we were kind of coming from all different backgrounds. I played the drums, and I also play the upright bass. So a lot of my musical background was like playing in rock bands and stuff. And then our mandolin player, he grew up in the Pacific Northwest, so he was in kind of the old time fiddle scene there. And when he came to Boston, he was playing saxophone in like a funk band.
Uh-huh.
Our fiddle player is a classically trained violist. We were kind of like all over the map when we started as a band. Not that we really incorporated those styles so much, but I just don't think we were really used to the sound as much. Although,
Hmm.
we're still very proud of that EP. There's like a real like kind of honest charm to it
Yeah.
that we enjoy. And so like kind of taking the development of the band through the albums over the years, we've strayed away from that string band sound for, one specific album and then kind of came back around to it because we felt like it's important to us to sort of give the listener the right impression of which kind of band they're going to be seeing if they're going to listen
Hmm.
if they're going to see them live. Interestingly, the process from our 2015 release is basically the exact same process as our 2025 release, which is like all five of us playing our acoustic instruments in the studio together. Maybe some vocal overdubs and things like that. But otherwise, we're like really just trying to chase the traditional kind of like bluegrass recording
Hmm.
uh, format. And I think the songwriting has gotten a little bit deeper. Obviously, we're a decade older in life, and some of those life experiences translate in the lyrics and things like that. And we've learned to work together a little bit more closely on arranging and things like that. So I'd say it's a little bit more refined than our early days, but a lot of like the core remains the same.
Which like love came first? Was it your love of rock music and then you found bluegrass, kind of traditional folk music later on?
Yeah, I think it was basically like, I always loved playing music, or just, I always loved music as a kid. So when I started to learn an instrument, my first instrument was the drums. And
Hmm.
I didn't start playing bass until high school. And when I had reached high school, that's when like, Old Crow Medicine Show and Alice Across Union Station and all of these releases that have become like very iconic were happening all at the same time. Um, so my first foray into bluegrass was my mom and I flew out to Lyons, Colorado to meet up with my uncle who had been going to Rocky Grass Bluegrass Festival every year,
Hmm.
with his friends. And this is my first time getting to play the bass with a group of musicians in that style. Otherwise, I was just playing, public high school classical music, and that I was just like pretty hooked by that point.
Yeah.
I would say like I've always had an interest in the more folky side of music, not necessarily just like rock bands, Led Zeppelin and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I love that stuff, but a big influence of mine was the Grateful Dead as well. And some of my favorite recordings are the more acoustic Dead side where David Grisman's playing mandolin and yeah, so I think like it probably came a little bit later, but once it did come into my life, it never left.
Yeah, it stuck with you.
Exactly. And then, you go a little further down the rabbit hole and you start learning about Flatt and Scruggs and Bill Monroe and everything
Hmm.
else like that.
Yeah, all kind of like the legends who kind of really formed the genre early on.
Exactly.
I want to read this statement that y'all we have your CD right here.
Mhm.
Have been listening to it. I want to read this statement that you guys put in it. You guys say that thematically, House of the Dog continues the Grain Thief tradition of sharing deep musings on the human experience by wrapping them in tales of the everyday. I really love that statement because it feels so true, not only to like your band and the music you all make, but to so much of art in general, both across genres and across forms, whether that be music or comedy or poetry or whatever it is. That statement right there and kind of that like tradition, is that something you all were kind of intentional about early on, or was it one of those things where you kind of like looked back on all of this art you had created and kind of noticed that like consistent theme?
Yeah, I think it's more of the latter. We have situations where songs are totally fictional stories or situations, and those ones are really, we love those just as much as the
Hmm.
others. But sometimes it's easier to just like speak from the heart, and we're a group of five guys in our mid-30s. We've all got different backgrounds, both from like personal, professional, what have you. And so, in our songwriting, we sometimes just draw from that because, like I'm sure I'm not the only person that feels this way, but sometimes you feel like your life could be like a TV show with some of these funny situations you might find yourself in, or, you know, or
All
really
these crazy characters in your life.
yeah, or maybe you find yourself in some crazy scenario. So I think like when we're trying to write about that, we just try to tap into that, you know. The song that's coming to mind, I think it's track two on our album. It's called "Here We Go Again," and this is about being in a band and life on the road, and it's like nights of sharing hotel rooms and nights of fast food and things like that. It's like um I guess we're just not really afraid to like speak the truth a little bit. Um there's other stuff on that album that has some pretty deep lyrical or I guess maybe like potentially like heavy subjects or could be perceived as like lyrically dark, but they're all things that are like tied to our individual lives, and we don't really want to create music that's going to send someone into some, down in the dumps feeling.
Hmm.
So we try to sort of create a musical juxtaposition with that, and I think the nature of like the string band sound, it's generally pretty lighthearted and stuff. So we just you know try to basically write with authenticity and feel good about the stories that we're telling through our lyrics and music.
Here We Go Again was also the song I was going to point to as a good example of this. Um, when you're kind of talking about maybe some of the more, whether it's like dark subject matter on the record or just sometimes just brutally honest, the song that comes to my mind, probably your mind as well, is Methadone Mile.
Mhm.
That song to me as well is maybe the one I was the most kind of interested in at first, just because of the story behind it and the connection it has to Boston. Can you explain what that is, Methadone Mile, and just kind of why you
Yeah.
guys wanted to write about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret that obviously there's a big epidemic in our country with opiate addiction
Hmm.
and what that does to people's lives. I mean, it truly just tears through families and the individual and things like that. And sadly, that's a story that's close to us. I don't think, you can't really be too many degrees of separation from anyone that
Yeah.
might have someone close to them that has fallen victim to that. So, it's spoken from that perspective, and then Methadone Mile is a kind of a nickname of one of the areas in Boston where, primarily the homeless population and users and shelter, things like that. So, it's a sad scene when you're passing through there, and it's like it's unavoidable because it's right next to highway exits and a major junction and hospitals and things like that. So I think in our case, it was an opportunity to just like speak some truth about that, maybe shed some light on that. I think like a big part of those lyrics are like how, one lyric is like, my family was blown away, not by guns or poverty, not by war or misery, but from pills I got from surgery. And, it's sad that that's somehow how these things happen to the victims that of this, but it's very real, and I think, again, with it being something that's like close to home for us, we just chose to write a song about it, and generally our collaborative process is like somebody sort of has either a finished song or maybe like a song seed that we all, get together when we're thinking about throwing songs on the table for making a new record. And that's one that stuck out to us. And, we tried to take this pretty heavy subject and create music around it that doesn't send you into some dark downward spiral.
Hmm.
And we attached a fiddle tune to the end of it as well. So
Yeah.
like for the heaviness of the lyrics, it's pretty lighthearted in musical nature.
It definitely, especially with that fiddle there at the end, it definitely has a lighthearted sound to it. I think what's so cool about that song is it's speaking about something maybe a bit more universal, I think, all throughout the country, in our area as well. There's been the similar problem, the similar disease that's kind of overtaking communities. But you guys, in your specific area, are able to write about methadone mile, which is like a very specific thing to you guys that other people may not understand. Um, yeah. Speaking of, I guess, the collaborative process, before you guys recorded this album, you guys went on a writer's retreat. Can you explain kind of what that environment is like?
Yeah, we've done that actually now for the past two studio album releases of all original music. So our 2020 release, Gasoline, and this 2025 release, House of the Dog. We've put out two albums in between those two, but one was a live album and one was a fiddle tunes record.
Hmm.
So neither of those required any kind of like, get in the woodshed together and really, you
Really
know,
come up with something deep or
really,
something.
exactly, exactly. So we found, that's kind of a step that we took um, prior to our 2020 release that we really felt was huge for the band's development, and the it brought a cohesiveness to the records. So basically, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. We just need an opportunity to all get together outside of work life, home life. People are married, people have kids, people have partners, people have dogs, people have jobs. It's just an opportunity for us to take like a long weekend or something like that, get away, just maybe a few hours from home. So we've done this in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, in like the dead of winter when there's nothing to do. It's perfect to book an off-season rental and just
Hmm.
hunker down for a few days, write some music, cook some food, just hang out with your bros and uh and do the thing. So we did that prior to Gasoline, and then in the case of House of the Dog, we went to Vermont. We just booked a really nice farmhouse and chilled out for a couple days in the summertime. And this is just an opportunity for everyone to basically bring forward what any ideas you might be working on, um, that could turn into songs, or if you've got a completed song with like some demo recording. A couple of us are handy enough where we record demos and play a bunch of the instruments to try to illustrate what we want it to sound like. But
Hmm.
the cool thing is that time together does also offer a lot of input from all five members. You know, even if we're bringing something that's like a completed idea, we're not expecting a situation where the others are just going to like learn the part and not contribute their own artistic abilities. And
Hmm.
so that's something that you know, as a writer and collaborator on the project. I appreciate the opportunity to like really get my hands dirty on someone else's song. I appreciate what the other members of the group bring to the table for my songs. I think it's just a really great collaborative process that we've found has worked, and we definitely would do like retreats probably from here on out for before we're getting ready to like go in and lay stuff down. And ideally by the end of that retreat time, we can you know throw up a couple microphones and make a demo as well.
Yeah. Start to hear it. That's something that's interesting about you guys is because there's a lot of bands that have 4 or 5 members, but there's kind of just like the lead songwriter, and then he'll kind of come in and bring all of his ideas, and then the bass player will just kind of figure it out with them. But you guys, it really seems like all 5 people are bringing their own kind of creativity and ideas to it. I think there's one song on the record where all of you are listed as songwriters.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I think that's just what makes y'all interesting. It's just that it really does feel like a team when you're putting together these records.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's three of us that brought songs to the table for this record. One of the songs, the song "Here We Go Again," which we were talking about earlier, is
Hmm.
that was like a total collaborative effort. We were just, hey, let's I've got this little riff. Let's just like write a song right now. Which the chords be, and at the end of the weekend or something, after we've worked on a handful of things and come back around to this one and stuff, it took shape. So that
Hmm.
was a cool process. I think, and that was the first time that we've ever done something that's like truly just a total collaboration. Didn't really have any parts prior, but
We're chatting with Mike of Grain Thief. Their new record, House of the Dog, is out now, available wherever you get your music. Tell us, what does the next year or so look like for the band?
yeah. It's funny. I think we probably will spend some time in 2026, working on some new music as well, maybe recording another album. But for now, basically, the next foreseeable future is just shows in support of our album.
Hmm.
So our primary kind of region is in the Northeast. So we have a local album release tour up this way. And then we just finished up a couple of festivals this summer and hoping that next summer we'll be able to, do more of those. It's a really great opportunity to get in front of what any band would probably consider to be their target audience,
Yeah.
music lovers, and the way that a festival exposes you to a whole different crowd is really a great thing. So hopefully, in the winter time, we'll be firming up some of those. In the past, we've participated in things like IBMA and Folk Alliance International and stuff. I don't know if those are. We haven't yet talked about if those are going to be things that we're going to head out to this year or not.
Hmm.
But yeah, we're just kind of for now. Album release shows up in the Northeast. Maybe some more music to come after that once that excitement dies down a little bit. And yeah, keep doing our residency on Wednesday nights. So if you're ever in the Boston area, we play every Wednesday night at the Burren.
If I'm ever in Boston, I don't know when I will be, but if I am, I'll pop in on a Wednesday. Any of our listeners, you guys are always there every Wednesday. Been doing it for 8 years now. So, Mike, it's been great chatting with you. I'm excited about this album. Tell people where they can go find you and just learn more about you guys.
Sure. Yeah. So we're on social media on Facebook and Instagram. The band name is Grain Thief. So if you search Grain Thief, you'll be able to find us. It's I before E, except after C. So it's funny. We used to actually see that mistake all the time, like on chalkboards outside of venues or something
Um,
at when we started out, and we had a long string of no typos, and then just recently we played a festival where that one popped up again, so it was pretty funny. But yeah, you can find us on social media. We're on YouTube. You can go to grainthief.com. That has all our tour dates, some backstory about the band. We have online store there, so you can buy a copy of the album on CD or vinyl. We sell t-shirts and stickers and all that good stuff too. So
yeah.
that's where you can find us. And tune into your local radio stations around the country. We're doing a national radio campaign at this point with the album. So hopefully, hopefully that reach is beyond what we can do in person, and we just want to spread the music that way as well.
Yeah, totally. Well, we got our copy of the record. We'll be playing it. Not to call myself out, but when I went to look up your website and find it online, I misspelled thief. I did the E before I thing.
Yeah, it's all
So
good.
I'm glad I'm not alone in that.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Yeah.
It was great chatting with you, man.
Yeah, thank you, Peyton. I really appreciate it.